The door appeared overnight. Ethan Cole was absolutely certain of that. He had lived in apartment 14B for nearly 6 years. Same cracked ceiling, same peeling wallpaper, same narrow bedroom with exactly one window facing the alley behind the building. There had never been a second door, but at 3:27 a.m., after waking from a nightmare drenched in sweat, Ethan sat upright in bed and froze. Across the room, beside his closet, stood a tall black door he had never seen before. It looked old, far older than the apartment itself. Dark wood, rusted brass handle, thin scratches carved across the surface like fingernails dragged against it over and over again. For several seconds, Ethan convinced himself he was still dreaming. He rubbed his eyes. The door remained there. His pulse quickened. Slowly, he reached for the lamp beside his bed and switched it on. Warm yellow light filled the room. The door did not disappear. In fact, under the light, it somehow looked worse, wet, as though rainwater dripped slowly down its surface despite the dry room around it. Ethan climbed out of bed cautiously. Every instinct screamed at him not to get closer, but curiosity pulled harder. "What the hell?" he whispered. He touched the wood carefully. Ice cold. A violent shiver shot through his arm instantly. Then he heard it, knocking. 3 slow knocks coming from the other side of the door. Knock, knock, knock. Ethan stumbled backward so fast he nearly fell. Silence followed. Complete silence. His apartment suddenly felt wrong. Too quiet, too still. Like the air itself was waiting. He grabbed his phone with trembling hands and called his landlord immediately. Straight to voicemail. Of course. Outside, thunder rumbled across the city while rain battered the windows. Ethan stared at the impossible door for nearly 10 minutes before convincing himself there had to be some explanation. Hidden maintenance entrance. Hallway renovation. Maybe he was exhausted. Maybe stress was finally destroying his mind. But then the brass handle slowly turned by itself. Ethan stopped breathing. The door creaked open less than an inch, and from the darkness inside came the sound of someone whispering his name. Ethan. Ethan slammed the door shut instantly and shoved his dresser against it with every ounce of strength he had. His heart pounded so violently it hurt. "Nope," he muttered breathlessly, "absolutely not." But even after barricading it, he couldn't stop staring at it. Something about the door felt alive. A pressure lingered around it, subtle but wrong, as if the room itself bent inward toward that impossible darkness behind it. Ethan barely slept the rest of the night. Every hour he heard sounds from behind the door. Slow footsteps, faint scratching, sometimes whispering too distorted to understand. By morning, exhaustion had hollowed out his face. He almost laughed while explaining the situation to his friend Marcus over coffee later that day. Almost, until Marcus saw the photographs on Ethan's phone. "Bro," Marcus frowned, zooming in on the image. "Was this always here?" Ethan shook his head immediately. "No." Marcus stared at the strange black door in silence. "Maybe somebody renovated the wall while you were asleep?" Ethan gave him a dead look. "Inside my bedroom?" Marcus had no answer for that. That evening they both returned to the apartment together. Marcus tried acting brave, joking nervously while inspecting the door. But the moment he touched the brass handle, his smile vanished completely. "Dude, this thing is freezing." Ethan watched him carefully. "So I'm not crazy?" Marcus didn't respond immediately. Instead, he leaned closer to the door, listening. His face slowly changed. "Someone's breathing in there." Ethan's stomach dropped. Marcus stepped back instantly. "Nah, nope, I heard that." Then the whispering started again. Both men heard it clearly this time, multiple voices overlapping softly behind the wood. "Open it!" Ethan backed away slowly while Marcus grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter. "Maybe someone's trapped in there," Marcus whispered. "Inside a wall?" Ethan snapped. Before Marcus could respond, the door handle twisted violently. The entire door shook once against the dresser barricading it. Then came a loud slam from the other side. Bam! Both men jumped. Another slam followed immediately. Bam! Dust drifted from the ceiling. Marcus stared at Ethan in horror. "There's somebody in there." They called the police an hour later. Officer Ramirez arrived visibly annoyed, clearly expecting a noise complaint or prank call. But even his expression shifted after entering Ethan's bedroom. "This door wasn't here before?" he asked slowly. "No," Ethan answered immediately. Ramirez examined the frame carefully. "There's no construction damage. No sign this wall was altered recently." He knocked against the wood twice, hollow, deep, wrong somehow. Then the whispers started again. Quiet, childlike. "Help us!" Ramirez froze. Marcus went pale instantly. Ethan's skin crawled. The officer stepped backwards slowly, hand drifting toward his holster unconsciously. "Who's in there?" he demanded loudly. Silence answered. Ramirez looked shaken now. He radioed for backup, but static exploded from his radio immediately. Loud, violent. Then a voice crackled through it that definitely did not belong to dispatch. "Don't open the door." Everyone in the room went silent. Ramirez stared at the radio in disbelief. The voice repeated louder this time. "Don't let it out." Then the radio died completely. The apartment lights flickered once, twice. Then darkness swallowed the room. Marcus cursed loudly. Ethan heard movement immediately beyond the door. Not footsteps anymore. Crawling. Something dragging itself slowly across the other side while wet scratching sounds echoed through the wood. Ramirez pulled out his flashlight. The beam shook in his trembling hand. Then the door handle began rattling violently. Faster, harder. The dresser blocking it moved an inch backward across the floor. Marcus shouted, "Hold it!" All three men shoved themselves against the dresser as something slammed repeatedly against the other side. Bam, bam, bam. The entire apartment shook. Ethan heard screaming then, not from inside the room but from deep behind the door itself. Hundreds of voices crying all at once, somewhere far away inside that darkness. Then, suddenly, silence. Total silence. The pressure against the dresser vanished instantly. Nobody moved for several seconds. Officer Ramirez swallowed hard before whispering, "Whatever's behind that door." He stopped, because the door was slowly opening anyway. The dresser remained in place, but the door itself no longer obeyed normal space. It opened inward through the wall impossibly, revealing complete darkness behind it. Not a hallway, not another room. Endless blackness, and somewhere deep inside it, Ethan saw dozens of pale faces staring back at him. Officer Ramirez quit the next morning. Ethan never saw him again. Marcus refused to enter the apartment after that night, which left Ethan completely alone with the door. By the third day, the darkness beyond it had changed. It was no longer empty. Shapes moved inside constantly now. Human silhouettes crossing slowly through the black void beyond the frame. Sometimes they paused near the entrance, watching him silently. Ethan stopped sleeping altogether. Every time he drifted off, he dreamed of the door opening wider while pale hands reached through searching for him. His apartment became freezing cold no matter how high he turned the heat. Neighbors started complaining about strange sounds coming from 14B late at night, crying, screaming, whispers echoing through vents. One elderly woman from downstairs grabbed Ethan's arm nervously one afternoon and whispered, "They're back." Before he could question her further, she hurried away terrified. That night, Ethan searched online desperately for anything similar. Urban legends, paranormal stories, hallucinations. Eventually, he found an old newspaper archive mentioning his apartment building from 1978. The headline made his blood run cold. "Tenants disappear inside Ashbridge Apartments." According to the article, 7 residents vanished without explanation over 3 months. Witnesses reported hearing voices inside walls before the disappearances. One survivor claimed a black door appeared inside his bedroom days before his wife vanished. Ethan stared at the screen in horror. Then he noticed another detail. Every disappearance occurred in apartment 14B, his apartment. Suddenly knocking echoed behind him. Slow. Calm. Ethan turned toward the bedroom. The black door stood fully open now. Pale fog drifted from the darkness inside. And for the first time, something stout. The creature looked almost human at first glance. Tall, thin, wearing what appeared to be an old black suit soaked completely in dark water. But its movements were wrong. Jerky, unnatural, like a puppet learning how to walk. Ethan backed away slowly while the thing tilted its head toward him. Its face remained hidden beneath shadows despite the apartment lights. "You opened it," the creature whispered softly. Its voice sounded layered, dozens speaking at once beneath the words. Ethan grabbed a kitchen knife instinctively. "Stay back." The creature smiled. At least Ethan thought it smiled. Its face shifted unnaturally beneath the darkness. "We were trapped for so long." Suddenly, more hands appeared gripping the edges of the doorway behind it. Pale hands. Too many hands. Then faces emerged slowly from the darkness. Terrified people whispering desperately. "Help us!" Ethan's chest tightened. Some looked normal, others did not. Their skin stretched strangely, their eyes too hollow. Like something inside the darkness had worn them down over decades. The creature stepped closer. Water dripped onto the floor beneath it. "This place feeds on loneliness," it whispered. Every person who opened the door invited us further inside. Ethan's mind raced. What are you? The creature paused, then all the apartment lights exploded simultaneously. Darkness swallowed everything. Ethan heard movement instantly around him. Fast. Crawling. Whispering voices filled the apartment from every direction now. Ethan. He ran blindly toward the front door, but the hallways outside no longer existed. Beyond the apartment entrance waited only endless darkness, identical to the one behind the black door. Panic consumed him completely. The entire building was changing. Walls stretched unnaturally. Ceiling lights flickered deep inside impossible hallways. Apartment doors appeared where none existed before, and from behind every one of them came whispering. Then Ethan heard Marcus screaming somewhere nearby inside the darkness. Ethan followed Marcus's screams through the shifting hallways desperately. The building no longer resembled Ashbridge Apartments. Endless corridors twisted impossibly in every direction, while black doors lined the walls endlessly. Some rattled violently from the inside. Others leaked water beneath their frames. Ethan finally found Marcus trapped near a stairwell, while pale figures crawled slowly toward him across the ceiling. "Ethan!" Marcus shouted. Ethan grabbed him instantly and ran. Behind them, the creature's layered voice echoed through the halls. "You cannot leave now." The building itself seemed alive, walls pulsing faintly, doors appearing and disappearing around them. Then Ethan noticed something horrifying. Every pale figure chasing them had once been human. Some still wore old-fashioned clothing from different decades. Missing tenants. Lost residents trapped behind the doors for years. Maybe decades. Marcus pointed ahead suddenly. There! At the end of the corridor stood Ethan's apartment bedroom door glowing faint red. Somehow they had circled back. The creature waited beside it patiently. "The doorway needs a keeper," it whispered calmly. "One must always remain." Ethan realized the horrifying truth instantly. The door had never appeared randomly. It chose people, lonely people, broken people, and once opened, someone had to stay behind to contain whatever existed beyond it. The previous keeper probably disappeared in 1978. Now the doorway wanted Ethan. Marcus grabbed Ethan's arm desperately. "We have to close it!" But the creature smiled wider. "You already opened it." Suddenly, pale hands grabbed Marcus from behind. He screamed while dozens of figures dragged him toward the darkness. Ethan lunged forward instinctively, grabbing Marcus's wrist with all his strength. For one horrible second, Ethan saw beyond the doorway fully. An endless black void filled with millions of whispering, trapped souls stretching forever into darkness. Then Ethan made his decision. He shoved Marcus backward away from the hands and threw himself into the doorway instead. Instantly, the darkness swallowed him whole. The black door slammed shut violently. Silence consumed the building immediately. Police later found Marcus unconscious in the apartment hallway. Apartment 14B appeared completely normal again. No second door, no damage, no sign Ethan Cole had ever existed there at all. Except sometimes late at night, tenants in 14B still hear knocking coming from the bedroom wall, and occasionally a terrified voice whispering from the other side. "Don't open the door.